Hello, and welcome back to another episode of You First. That's right. It's all things you. Self-care, mental well-being, personal empowerment, and development. That's what happens over here because this is your safe space where it gets to be about you. This is the one program that you can turn on at the beginning and the end of your day, or even check us out even on replay, where you know you can come in and hear something that's going to help you build and be a better you. I'm excited because we had to have her back. We had to keep her tuned in and locked in. This psychotherapist, Miss Ashlee Washington, she has over 2 decades in the mental health field, helping women. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure she didn't talk to some brothers too, helping us to be better about the way we operate in our life, understanding that it is important for us to make ourselves a priority, knowing what it looks and feel like working with some of the ladies who are getting a little bit more seasoned in their 40s and even in their 50s, and what that looks like when we have to re-identify or identify where we are right now in our life. We've been previously even talking about things that trigger us, stuff that the body might remember that we don't even realize that it has been stored up in us. And it's those things that send us down rabbit holes where we need to be better about who we are and what we do. One of the things that I get to say in this space is that do something today that your future self will thank you for. And I am grateful to be able to have people, experts like Miss Ashlee Washington, that comes in and help us to get ourselves together, or remind us that you are amazing and you are here for a reason and for a purpose, so that we need to be walking out our lives and our destinies as so. So without further ado, I want you to help me welcome Miss Ashlee back to the platform. Welcome back, Ashlee.
Hi, thanks for having me again.
Yes, I love the conversation that we've been having, and I want to go more into when we think about over functioning, whether you are a lay person, a mom, right, or even a person that's in C-suite. We know in the previous episode, so make sure you're checking out that part 1. We already know what that looks like to have multiple degrees, so many degrees, and half of them you're not even using. They got dust on them. But what that looks like, because you're an overachiever, in some way, something happened along the way where you felt that you needed those things to be more, to do more, to have more. But now time has passed and you're looking now saying, now what? What am I going to do besides pay off student loans, right? And so I want to go into that over functioning. Talk to us about that. How do people even know that they're doing it?
So the first thing is I do with my clients is so simple. I was like, let me see your calendar. What do you do? And then they're like, oh, it's in my, I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. So I print out a sheet of paper. It's like old school appointment. It's from an old school appointment book that I have scanned on. I need to do something better. But it's in 15-minute increments, right? And I was like, write down I said, so let's write down all the things you have to do this week. And I'm like, work and home. And we're going to put them in these boxes, and we're going to draw little lines, and we're going to shade them in. And then when we get done, they have like maybe 2 or 3 little boxes that aren't shaded in, right? And there's a visual right there of how much stuff and how much you've extended yourself for everyone around you. But I always tell them, if it's something that's really for you, that's taking care of you, leave it blank. And they realize it's not many blanks on there, and it's not much for me that I've done. So I give them a visual cue of I'm doing too much, and not in a good way. I'm being productive. I'm being busy, but I'm not prioritizing myself. I am caught up. My identity is wrapped up in all of the things that I'm for everybody else, but not for me. Whether it is, like you say, mom or wife or sister or daughter or C-suite executive or entrepreneur, it's always caught up in what I'm doing for the outside world, and it's never what you're doing for yourself. And a lot of that comes from, just being told that you got to do more. I want you to be better than the rest. And, I'm be honest, I work with mostly Black women, right? So just not being the quintessential beauty, or being the quintessential academic. People tell you you're not smart, and, or that you worked hard to get, I got straight A's, but I still didn't get the award, right? Or I worked overtime, but I didn't get the promotion. Maybe if I had done just a little bit more, maybe if I did this, their self-worth gets tied back into these accolades, and, it's just a vicious cycle, right? I work hard, I know I'm smart, but then I don't get the promotion or the job or the opportunity for whatever reason. Then I just start internalizing it, and then making it, be who I am, and just tying it back to my worth. And then, it just keeps going and going. It's just a vicious cycle.
Wow. Yeah. That about sounds right. That about sums it up for a lot of people. So how do you tell a person if a person needed to start, because you've been known to be called like a truth teller, right? A boundary builder. And when we think about building boundaries, right? Because that's not always easy for people who are people pleasers. That's not always easy for people who feel that, right, like you just said, everything that they do is tied into and connected to someone else. How do you help to kind of break through that with people who they really like, no, this is going to be the thing that's going to take you out of here if you don't change, and change fast?
So there are two questions I ask. Some version of these questions, I word it some kind of way, right? The first one is, who are boundaries for? That's the first one. And then the next one, no matter whatever, I call it the ships question, no matter what ship it is, how do you allow this ship to remain in your life if this ship never changes? So, and now what I mean by ships, relationships, situations.
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
How do you allow it? And once we start asking that question, because they start talking immediately, and I was like, no. Think about it, because it's not a simple question like you think it is. And the boundary question, yeah, but the ship question, it's not an easy question, because 9 times out of 10, you're in a job and you have a boss that's a jerk. You want your boss to stop being a jerk, right? And you come to therapy, you talk about it, and John and Sally just driving me crazy, and they treat me this way, and I know I'm smart. Guess what? John and Sally still gonna be a jerk when you leave my office tomorrow. So how do you allow John and Sally to remain in your life or not?
Yeah. And
so the change comes from you, because John and Sally not changing. And when people realize that they have to make a change, then the work starts. Right? And I know it's very cliche, because people say, I'm going to therapy to be a better me. Yes, you are, but everybody come there to be a better me. They don't want to talk about everything that everybody else is doing to them. But then that's when we go back and answer the boundaries question. Who are the boundaries for?
No, that's good, because I can only imagine when you soon as they attempt to start naming other names instead of being accountable in the boundaries, then how do you then turn it where they then really put the focus back who it needs to be on, which is them, to make them accountable for the things that they've even allowed? How about that? Right. For a lot of the stuff that they've even allowed.
So we just really, we talk honestly, because people want it to be easy, and it's not. Therapy is easy in a way, and it's not in a way, right? Because if John and Sally been yelling at you or sending you, just causing all kinds of havoc at work, right? They're going to continue to cause all this havoc. So when you make whatever change, I'm not going to be in a room alone with John so that everything's going to be in writing moving forward, he's going to push back, because he's going to come to your desk. He's going to try to talk, right? So how are you going to hold that boundary? It's like, you might let him sit there and talk, but You still gonna send that email, or you gonna sit there and talk back to him? And if you, whichever one you choose, it's okay, but you got to be okay with the consequence, whether it's positive or negative, right? And if you're okay with it, then we did the work. But if you're not, you got to go back to the drawing board.
What does it feel like when you see the light go off? How does that feel when you're sitting in there? You've gone through the assessment and all of the things, and then you really see that they get it. What is that moment like for you when you like, okay, they're getting it. They are beginning to understand, and I could tell that they're truly doing their work.
So most of them come in and be like, girl, let me tell you, because we don't code switch. And so, girl, let me tell you what happened. And I'm smiling. So I like music. I like to dance, even though I can't dance. And Kool and the Gang is our thing because we celebrate. It's either Kool and the Gang or we play some Boosie, because I'm from the South and I like Boosie, and nobody's gonna make me hate him. I'm sorry, not sorry. I play music for my clients, like when they see, and I know that that's not particular to where you were going, but when you see that light bulb go off, they tell you, they're like, man, that's all it is, or oh man, guess what I did last week, or oh man, I told my mom no, I'm an adult now, no, and she cussed still, but guess what? I just got up and left, and I said no, and she's still cussing, but I feel good because I'm not listening to her cuss. I walked off. They just come in and they tell you, and sometimes I want to cry. Sometimes I ain't gonna lie, I be crying when they leave. Sometimes.
I love that. I love that. Not that you're crying, but it allows you to even do even greater work to help them to push through, to get beyond, right? Because some stuff I say, you could tell me, yeah, you the therapist up in the house, right? Some things I believe, for me personally, is that we may never get over them. So I had to be careful about, you hear people all the time say, get over it, get over it. No, just things that we can do to help move beyond.
And there you go.
Right. It's not about a get over, right? I told you, I've done some self-work over here. So it's about to get beyond this place, to then be able to still function, not over function, but function in a healthier space, i.e. space is the mind, right? We know you talk a lot about the mindset and the shifting and what that looks and feel like, because we already know to change your mind is to change your world. And that's why people are able to be in spaces and places with people, and you're like, but it don't affect you the same way when you move beyond what used to trigger you, or certain things, when you realize that you do have the ultimate control. How is that when you're trying to help people steer back to realizing that they have a part to play in that, and really the strings, they're really the ones operating their own strings? How is that when that other people are really feeling like someone else is controlling them and they have no control? And when you're like, no, you do have all the control.
So I want to kind of go back to, last time we were speaking about just EMDR, the type of therapy that I do. So again, we get down to that root feeling, right? And I don't think I said before, but there's really an actual physiological change that happens in your brain when we do that work, right? So we do something that's called bilateral stimulation. And during that time, it almost mimics like dream sleep. It's something that kind of happens when you're sleeping, and now your eyes go back and forth in your head. And that's when our body starts healing and resting, and we're dreaming, and we're getting all of those, that clarity. You kind of wake up and clear, and, you change your mind about something, or you see things in a different light in the morning, right? So during EMDR, we basically kind of force that process to happen in real time. And so once we do that, all of the things you're talking about, and we get to those root feelings for real, and we desensitize the emotional response, the physical response that you were just speaking about. You said it last time, you smell something and it take you back to that moment, or you see a flash of a shirt or something that you didn't even think about, and it's attached to those moments and those memories and those things, right? So we get back and we even realize, oh, when this happened to me, you know, they were popping popcorn, and that's why I don't like popcorn, you know, and we desensitize that, and you don't have that reaction to popcorn. But then you also just realize, oh, this was going on there. Those things aren't bad things. This is my body was protecting me and all of that. And so once you come forward from that, and you're not blaming yourself, and you're not talking negative to yourself, and you're starting to believe positively about yourself, then you find that courage, that strength to hold those boundaries, to put them in place. And then at that point, you also have the strength to be okay with the consequence. Like I said earlier, talking about the consequence, because people don't like the word consequence, right? But they don't realize consequence goes both ways. It's positive and negative, right? So my next action or my boundary is going to get a reaction from somebody, right? And they may and I'm not responsible for their reaction, because their reaction may be positive, it may be negative. So when I set that boundary, I have to be okay with their reaction. So that's how we move forward, is we start fixing that part, you know. I don't want to say fix. I hate that word in therapy, because we're not fixing. We're working through. So we work through those negative thoughts, those negative connotations, and that type of thing. Once we get beyond that and start kind of building that confidence and that strength in that way, then the rest of it is easy. It's just, okay, I'm okay with you being mad at me because I choose me.
Exactly. Look, that part. Look, I'll say it for y'all. That part. It's because we really do. I often tell the story of, because I'm a mom of 3, having 2 older children, as well as I still have a school ager. I still have one that's still in high school. And when I was going through my self-discovery journey at a time when it was kind of like, I tell people, by choice or by force. By choice or by force, you are going to have to deal with you. And for me, it was by force that made me, it wasn't where I was like, oh, now I believe this is the time. It was by force, and me having a real hard face up in a hospital, come to Jesus moment, right? I call it my come to Jesus moment. And where I began to do a lot of things to do my work. And my son, because of course, anybody that know me, you know, I'm big. I'm an advocate for self first, right? Making yourself a priority, especially at this stage and age in my life. And my son, he wanted something he wanted, and he was like, "Oh, I forgot. You're self first thing." I said, "Actually, you're correct. Thank you for recognizing that." But of course, he wasn't happy about it. But it's kind of like, without doing a PSA. You really do have to make people understand that you are choosing this, and be okay to lose some people. So what do you say to people who they're like, but I don't want to lose this relationship? I already know when I went through my process, it definitely shook some stuff. It definitely flipped some stuff upside down, because of course, when we've allowed people to cross boundaries, and we've done it to ourselves, I'll say that it's not always other people. It's us not adhering to our own boundaries within ourselves. How do you help people to even deal with that part, with the shakeup? Because it really is a disruptor.
You want the Ashlee version or the therapist version?
No, give it to us. I think everybody on here, everybody looking and listening, everybody on here is grown. You better give it to them. What they say, TIE is.
So the Ashlee version is this relationship worth losing yourself? Right, but the therapist version is, what does this relationship represent to you? And if you lose it, how do you feel like it would affect you in your life? And let's go through and let's talk through it. But I'd want to say, you rather put them before you. That's what I'd rather say, but you know, we can't say that.
It is, because there is a cost either way. How about that?
There is. There is
the cost, right? So it's either on the front end or on the back end. That's
and you choose. And again, I'm not there to judge. I'm just there to be a facilitator and I'm really there to be a passenger as you work through it, right? I never give advice. I never judge you right or wrong. You know, in my real life, you and my homegirl, I might be like, nah, that ain't it, sis. But as your therapist, let's look at all sides of the issue. And you decide what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Because at the end of the day, what works for you may not work for me.
How is it when you run into that client or two that you're just like, they're not ready. I can't help them. How do you handle that? How do you deal with those individuals when you're like, no, we really have gone as far as we can go because you're not willing to do, you know, X, Y, and Z to really move the needle in your own life?
So with those individuals, first of all, any good therapist is checking in quarterly with you anyway to see if you're attaining your goals, right? So that in itself kind of takes care of some of this, right? But the type of conversations I have with them, because I do have people who they just get stuck, right? And you know, I've had clients. We talked about this last quarter. We haven't moved. You know, I actually keep up with the progress. We keep up with the charting and the assessments. And where's your anxiety? You know, when you came in here, you on a 10. So we on a 5 now? Are we on a 3? You know, I keep up with those measures. So it's just not hard work. You know, we put a little science and all that kind of behind it too. And that way we're being held accountable. You know, you came in, you told me this was your goal. We put these objectives in place for you to be able to obtain them. And, you know, we use the SMART goal. It was specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. We got to do something different. Now, obviously, I don't say it like that, but that's the gist of it.
You know what? I could appreciate how you are, because sometimes when you're dealing with us, every now and then, because I'm a person that, I wear big girl underwear, right? I always use it as an example when anybody that ever watched this show from moons ago, The Biggest Loser, where you had Bob, they both were trainers, but you had one of the trainers that was a little bit more easygoing, even though he could still help you accomplish some goals. But then you had Jillian, who was like, no nonsense, straightforward, this what we doing, right? I'm that type of person that's, for the most part, the kind of people that I need. So I'm saying I would appreciate you being like, you done? You good? You got it?
I think I'm a mix of Jillian and Bob, right?
Okay.
Because I'll put the kitty gloves on until I see you playing games. We did a SMART goal. You on S still, but you did MART. Right?
Yeah.
So I lovingly push you, right? And then also, you know, I will say this, I do have clients that I can say, hey sis, you tripping. We gotta do better. But I have those that you can't talk to like that because they can't receive it. So I'm gonna say mostly I just meet my people where they are, right? I'm still gonna I'm gonna give you what you need, but I'm also gonna, you know, it's not a one size fits all. So I'm probably in between both of them. You know, but if you come in here and you playing, I'm gonna hold you to it, and we'll go on like a little trial. And if we don't get back on pace, then we're not a good fit anymore, and I'll refer you out.
I get it. No, I appreciate this conversation so much because it is so needed, and people just need to be okay to get the help that you need, because there's so many things going on. And let's just be honest, it's always going to be something going on. Mm-hmm. And the quicker we are at knowing how and the control that we have with ourselves and our response to things, I believe will help us be better individuals. I want you just to speak to our viewers today and just leave them with a thought that can help them, even if after watching, they can go about their way. Because I know you said about just start by being kind, saying nice things. And actually, I'll say nice things and be kind and mean it. right? Not just to say it, because I know some things we have to act as if, right? It is you have to say it, one, because we have to do the whole retraining and rewiring of our brain. I get all of that. But just in case there is somebody who is looking and listening and they're like, I hear all of that. That's nice. But I'm stuck. I just want you to talk to that person before we get out of here.
I have it's going to be really short. It's almost like that Bible verse when I was little. They they go around the room and everybody has to say a Bible verse and I go, Jesus wept.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they look at you and I'll try to see which way they're going to go. If they're going to go with the circle this way or that way, because I want to say Jesus wept, so I'll be done. Okay. So here, in that same vein as Jesus wept, no is a complete sentence. Say no without feeling the urge to explain yourself. That's it. That's the word.
The whole thing right there too, y'all. That's the whole thing there too. The feeling of wanting to explain, right? And even recognizing or asking the question, where is that coming from? That's a whole nother something, just talking about the no and the reason behind why we feel like we have to explain. And y'all already know that means we're going to have Miss Ashlee Washington back. This was good, y'all. This was good, not just for you, but it was good for me, because it's good to even have these conversations with experts, right? Individuals who have studied and done the work and is in it and can help us just to even see if we are further along than we think we are, right? So I definitely appreciate you stopping by You First to have this hard and sometimes can be a little tough conversations as we deal with ourselves, making our priority. So look, I appreciate you. So make sure y'all tuning in. Make sure you follow Miss Ashlee Washington. Look, that's with two E's. She all over social media, but her Facebook is pretty popping, because I know she do a lot of garden therapy too, So we didn't even talk about that. But this young lady have a garden and some things that she's growing that I know that's therapeutic in itself, because that's one of the things that I do. Look, it's a little, I know my stuff ain't nothing like yours, but it's like, what is it that we can do to really help us to USA, right? Because everybody can't go to a therapist, but what are the things that we can do today that our future self will thank us for, that will help shift our minds, that will change our world? I appreciate you, Miss Ashlee Washington, for joining us for You First. Let's just wave at the people so we can get up out of here. We'll see y'all again. I'm going to have her back, y'all. I'm going to have her back. All right, y'all. Bye for now. This episode is brought to you by Kennedy Media and Entertainment, your premier video productions and digital visibility partner. Working with business owners just like you to be seen, heard, and paid by elevating your brand with high-impact video content, online visibility strategies, and expert social media management. Ready to stand out in your industry, on and off camera? Contact Kennedy Media today, and let's turn your message into a movement. Because visibility isn't optional, it's essential. Contact KennedyMediaLLC.com, KennedyMediaLLC.com, and let's boost your brand's visibility. It's time for you to be seen, heard, and known for your expertise. Contact us today.